Hello everyone, so you want to bleed your Shimano brakes and you want to do it quickly, and that's why you're here. Well, you're in luck, because these are very easy to bleed quickly. So let's get into the full process. First of all, we're going to remove our front wheel. Then with the front wheel removed, we're actually going to just increase all the reach we can on the lever and dial out this free stroke as much as we can. This will essentially increase the volume of the system, which can result in a better bleed because we're going to use up all of that space with oil. Next, we're going to remove the pads. Now, be very careful when doing so for two things. Firstly, we don't want to risk the base of the pad getting contaminated, so try not to touch it. Secondly, that bolt and clip are very easy to lose, so put them somewhere safe. For the cleanest bleed, it can be worth undoing this clamp and just rotating that lever upwards to save spilling any oil from the bucket. Next, we're going to remove this small bolt at the top of the lever and we're going to install the bleed cup. We're going to grab a rag and make sure that these pistons are clean before pushing them back into the caliper with the spacers. Next, we're going to get our syringe and fill it with 15 milliliters of oil or thereabouts. We're then going to remove that little cover and work the tube onto that fitting there before backing this out. I would say around half a turn. It doesn't need to be too much, definitely not full rotations. We make sure that the plug at the top is out, so all the oil can flow freely, and we just gently push down on the syringe, and as we do so you can actually see it being purged out of the top. Once we have the syringe almost nearly drained, we're going to come back with our spanner and nip up that bleed port. As we remove this hose, we actually just want to prime the syringe just a little bit, add a bit of a vacuum, because it's going to stop oil spraying everywhere, because it's going to be drawing oil back into the syringe. When it comes to bleeding the lever, this oil sometimes can be black, it can be pretty mucky, and if that's the case, please discard it, clean the bucket, and then restart again by adding a tiny little bit of oil, just enough to do the lever bleed. And the lever bleed itself is very simple. We engage the lever, a few little tricks of the trade. You can be pulling the lever whilst changing the amount of reach as long as you leave it in its most outbound position. This might just prompt any bubbles to work their way out. You can do the same with the free stroke adjust. This one can make a big difference. Bubbles get trapped in all sorts of weird places. Again, making sure we leave it wound out. Then we're just going to reinstall that little clip. We can actually then remove the bucket entirely before reinstalling that small bolt. By introducing it at 45 degrees, it will just purge bubbles out as you introduce it. Might be some little bits of oil overflowing, but largely that is quite clean. Removing the pad spacers from the caliper, and if you do have oil on your hands, go and wash them first, but if you've been relatively clean, you'll be okay. And just touching the back of the pads, reintroduce them to the caliper. Reinstall that bolt with the all-important retaining clip. After reinstalling that wheel, you might need to recenter the caliper, but more often than not, you're okay. Reposition the lever back to its original position, as well as dialing in the free stroke and reach to taste. And that's it. That's how to bleed a Shimano brake. And like I said, it is pretty easy. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you next time.